Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I was almost going to say GH. Um, by the way, the reason why this is actually coming out so late is because, once again, there was news interruption, and it took me a minute to actually find it on YouTube, which is a whole nother issue between um, YouTube on PlayStation Network. It's just a big mess. So, yeah, that's why it's coming out so late. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Will and Sunny for a minute. And the reason why I kind of want to sit there and do them first is because in a way, I kind of want to get it over with. I mean, let's be honest. Their episode was a lot of fluff and padding. They were pretty much talking about both having another child, and they were talking about the pros and cons of surrogacy versus adoption. They was talking about, I think, Rafe and how that whole thing is going, or like Rafe and Zoe or something like that, and so they were pretty much just kind of just going back and forth. And I think in the end, they pretty much, I mean, the only thing that they pretty much said was, well, the one thing that we could decide is having a baby, because I think Will or Sunny were about to rush towards the phone, start to get the process started. And they were like, listen, we didn't even sit there and tell our child yet, you know? We got to kind of like run it through her before we just decide, So let's just kind of pump the brakes on a little bit and let's just talk to her and just kind of move from there. That was it. That was pretty much the sum of their whole scene. I don't have anything against the characters or anything like that. I don't really know the characters, but I know fluffing and padding. I see it in GH when I watch it. And they'll have scenes where they just kind of just, and they're just there to kind of like spread out the time. Which is actually a shame. I do want to kind of see them get into some more stuff and kind of see more about Will and Sunny, and not just be used for like padding of stretching out an hour show. But that was pretty much about it. So hopefully down the line they can kind of get into some good stuff and see where the characters go. Let's talk about Abe and let's talk about Abe and Kate. So they're sitting down outside or whatever in a cafe or something. And Kate brings up the idea about giving Steve and Hope, key to the city. Abe is pretty much like, what? I'm sorry, what did you just say? And you just decided to do this without my say so, pretty much. And at first, Kate is like, listen, the reform, what they did, it wasn't them. And Abe is like, are you sure it wasn't them? And Kate's like, everyone in the city knows it wasn't them, so what is this really about? And Abe pretty much just like, Abe pretty much says that, in a lot of ways that she's just overreaching and that she is used to being a boss and she doesn't know how to take orders. And then Kate says something like, oh, well, at one point I was working at a diner and all I did was take orders. And then Abe was like, okay, so the problem is you don't have a problem taking orders, you just don't have taking orders from me. So they get into this whole discussion back and forth. And, Kate is just like, listen, we need to kind of get your image up because right now your numbers aren't looking, it isn't looking good. It's down. It's really down. We need to kind of sit there and boost your image. And after a while, them going back and forth, Abe is like, all right, listen, you're right. I can sit there and take some suggestions from you. I mean, I'm all about, I'm all about getting Salem, like just doing good for the people in Salem, but if I'm going to be in this position, I'll take some advice to kind of help me stay in this position. But the people comes first. And that's pretty much what it came down to. Abe thought that Kate was, not really used to kind of, being a follower, taking orders really. And that was pretty much it. Again, not really a lot, just them talking. Now, to tell you the truth, at one point, she was there asking, "Are you gonna fire me?" And then Abe was like, "Are you gonna quit?" And then in the end, they both laugh and they kind of just settle things, and they're good. So yeah. Let's talk about Rafe and Well, at first, let's talk about Rafe and Hope. So Hope is there talking to Rafe, and Hope is like, "Thank you for helping me realize that I need to kind of just let the past go, whatever." And Rafe was like, "Yeah, okay, that's good," and everything like that. But honestly, to tell you the truth, it seemed like Zoe kind of came in there for more than just thanking Rafe for great advice. Just the way she was looking at him and her body language and everything like that, it kind of seemed like she wanted to ask him something in a romantic way other than just kind of, say thanks for the pep talk. But before that, she could really ask him, Zoe comes in. Apparently, she said that the door was just open. So what is going on in Salem? Like, do they just like leave the doors open? I heard Canada does something like that. Like they don't lock their doors or something. I remember Kate, but pretty much walked into Steve and Hope's place, I think, or walked in to their house and said, "Oh, the door is just open." So what the hell is going on in Salem? But anyway, Zoe walks in and says, "Hey, listen, I need to sit there and talk to Rafe alone." Zoe kind of puts up a little bit of a fight, talking about, "Hey, remember that time you almost shot him, like, I don't know, a couple episodes ago?" And Rafe is like, "I'm fine, I can handle her." So Zoe is very casual in the beginning, talking to Rafe. And then out of nowhere, you know, they talk or whatever. And then Zoe's like, "Well, listen, I'm still suing for custody of little David." And that's pretty much where the pissing contest starts. And I'm not even joking. They literally start talking like, "Oh, well, if Rafe is all like, 'Oh, well, if you take me to court, you're going to lose because I got this, that, and the third on you. And remember you did this, that, and the third." And then, 1 second. Oh, okay. So, and then Zoe's all like, "Oh, remember you did this, that, and the third." And so they're going back and forth, and just bringing up stuff that I have no idea. Apparently, there's dirt on both of them. And then in the end, because Zoe is like, "Oh, well, listen, I'm just not trying to be civil or whatever." I'm like, well, you throwing in the fact that I'm still suing for custody of little David doesn't really come across as civil at all. Because at first Zoe's like, "Listen, I apologize for accidentally shooting you, and I hope everything is good, and I had to do what I had to do, and I'm sorry." And Rafe is like, "Ah, it's cool, whatever," and they talk about little David or whatever. And then I think she just casually slips in the fact that I feel like she started it first, like she casually slips in the fact that I'm gonna be suing for custody of little Raven. I mean, David. Anyway, long story short, they basically just like, "I'll see you in court." So, that ends that scene. Let's talk about Lonnie and Eli, because this was a very up and down situation. And at first, Eli's like, "Listen, because Lonnie's like, I don't know if I can have another child because it will destroy me. Mentally, it will literally devastate me. I can't put myself through that again." And Eli's just like, "Listen, Eli's pretty much like, so you're telling me that you're so afraid that you may lose another baby that you're just not even going to bother to try?" And that's when Lonnie's like, "Listen, if this is a deal breaker for you, if you can't, if having children is that much, then I understand that maybe we shouldn't get married." And that's where pretty much Eli's like, "It's your choice. I understand, and I will support you 100%." Because at first, here's the thing, and I. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel for him a little bit because at first Lonnie's a little worried. She's like, I don't know. I don't know if it could be this. I don't know if it could be that. It could be whatever caused, me to lose the last baby. And Eli's like, listen, we can do tests, we can do surveys, we can do this, we can do that. Pretty much just trying to, and I hate saying this, and this in no way, shape is sexist or anything like that, but at least I can sit there and say for myself, my ex-girlfriend or whatever, whenever we sit there and talk about something serious or heavy, I would sit there and be very logical. I would sit there and try to come up with facts and things of that nature, just trying to keep a level head, just being logical. And I felt like that's what he was doing. And he was being very logical, she was being very emotional, and I felt really bad for him because I know exactly what that's like. Because you can sit there and say the most logical things, you can come up with the most facts or whatever, but one thing, when a woman makes up her mind, that's pretty much it. It is case closed. That is it's a wrap. Just stop. And then number two, at the end of the day, it's emotion versus logic. Who's right and who's wrong. It's just not really an argument that you can really win. And besides, at the end of the day, it's her body, and if she decides she wants to have a child, that's on her. All you can really do is sit there and support her. So like I understood that part of the argument, and as soon as they start arguing, I was like, oh man, yep, I remember that. Fun times. But pretty much, Eli was like, listen, because at one point, Lonnie was like, we can sit there and do adoption and stuff like that, and Eli just came to the conclusion, like, listen, rather you have this baby or not, rather you adopt or not, the marriage is still on, and he says, let's just put it this way, he says all the right things that I'm not gonna lie, I probably would say too. In the end, they just hug or whatever, and actually in the end, Lonnie's like, listen, we'll try, we'll give this a go, we'll go through with the pregnancy and see what happens, and because knowing that Eli's going to support her no matter what way it turns out, he's going to support her. If she adopts, if she's not, whatever, he's there 100%. And that pretty much ends that scene. And I say it like that because there was a lot of back and forth. Again, I always call it logic versus emotions, and Eli was kind of quiet for a little bit, and Lonnie was like, he doesn't, she doesn't want to lose him, and maybe she should try, but she doesn't want to try. Like, I don't know. It was just a lot of back and forth, but it was a good scene. I'm not gonna lie, it was actually a good scene. Let's talk about it's the last scene. Let's talk about Justin and Kayla. Ugh, my goodness. So Justin pretty much proposes, he proposes to Kayla. Like, listen, I love you, yada yada yada, blah blah, will you marry me? And Kayla is just like, what? She just has that shocked look on her face when she's shocked, she's afraid, she doesn't want to hurt him. And she doesn't say anything for a good couple of minutes. I'm like, listen, I'm not Justin's biggest fan, but I do kind of feel for him, And she's like, all right, well, let's stand up, can you stand up or whatever? Can we have this conversation somewhere private? Can we have this conversation somewhere private? This man just proposed to you, and you say, can we have this conversation somewhere private? I am not gonna lie, there's not too many men on this planet that would take those words and just be as calm as he was, as calm as he was. And by the way, when she proposed when he proposed to her on one knee, Stephen was there. Great timing, of course. And Stephen goes Stephen goes to the bar apparently, and Hope is there. And I'll get back to those two in a minute. But Steve is like, hey, he talks to Hope or whatever. He's like, well, Justin proposed. Actually, to tell you the truth, Justin proposed, and Steven's like, hey, listen, by the way, I left her a note in her office to sit there and say, I'm happy for you and go for it. And Hope is just like, ugh, this is so not what I told you. And Hope is just like, what happened to fighting? Like, you should fight for her, you should let her decide. And, you know, Steve's like, hey, listen, she loves him. He loves her. They're happy. She said yes. She must have said yes for a reason. And Hope was like, yeah, she did probably say that, but she said that without knowing all the facts. And Hope was like, listen, I know her my whole adult life. And Hope is not going to, Kayla is not going to give her heart to another man if she's still in love with someone else. And so we go back to Kayla and Justin. And they are, Justin's like, hey, listen, first, at one point, Kayla is stalling like there's no tomorrow. Kayla's like, hey, listen, we both been hurt before. We both been in long-term relationships. And, I know that we don't take marriage lightly. And I know you would never take marriage lightly. And she goes into the speech for like a good 40 seconds. And I'm just like, man, I know it's like 40 seconds in real time for me. But in Justin's time, 40 seconds as a man proposing to the woman that he loves and her not saying anything, that's like 40 years. That is a long, long time. And after a while, Justin's like, listen, I don't want to put you on the spot. Because at first he was like, listen, is that a no? And then she goes spotting more into, stalling. And, Justin's like, listen, you don't have to give me an answer right now. Take your time. You're worth the wait. All that good stuff that a man would generally say to somebody that he loves. All the right things. And, that kind of puts Kayla in a spot of, what do I do? And I'm just there thinking, again, I am not Justin's biggest fan. But if it's a no, just tell him. Just tell him. Set him free. And, anyway, so, again, Steve and Hope are sitting there talking. And they pretty much kind of end their scene. And I think they walk outside after Hope pretty much says, you should still sit there and talk to her. They walk outside, and you got Kayla and Justin there. And Kayla's like, listen, I have good news. I'm glad I can tell both of y'all. Me and Justin are getting married. And when she said that, I was like, that just, I had to pause it for me. I was like, I'm good. That just hurt my chest. I can imagine what it's doing to Steve. Jesus Christ. The look on Steve's face. I mean, he's my favorite character, but even if he wasn't my favorite character, I still would have been like, damn, that hurt. I mean, Steve has a great poker face, but Steve was all like, oh, congratulations. And he gave Justin a handshake or whatever, and he was all smiling. And I'm not gonna lie, I looked in his eye and I was like, man, all sorts of sadness, emotions going on, and all that. And that pretty much was the end of the scene. Well, I mean, that was pretty much the end of the soap opera. And, yeah, I think I actually covered them all. There's no need for pausing. So, again, sorry so late. I really, by the way, this review's over. I'm gonna rant for a little bit. I really do wish that these news interruptions wouldn't keep happening, because it's just so annoying. And even, I feel like it's almost a little bit worse with Days of Our Lives, because at least on General Hospital, I can always watch Hulu at 8 o'clock and put my review on after that. With Days of Our Lives, I still have the app, but I never used it, and hopefully I don't kind of have to. I'm always able to find it on, YouTube. But I have a question though. Does the app allow you to watch it that same night? Like, is it like Hulu when you can watch it at a certain time period, or do you have to wait till the next day to watch it? That is pretty much my question for this app. Again, I didn't use it yet, but I have it, and I'm just wondering. Because I'm not gonna lie, at one point I was gonna be like, you know what? I was just gonna pretty much just kind of put out a video snippet saying, well, there's no review because Channel 4 sucks. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, it's not Channel 4, but the news interruptions suck, and I have no idea how to actually watch it that same day or that same night to put out a review. But yeah, that's gonna do it. So be safe, be merry. Again, I apologize for the oh, just 1 second. Yep. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this review or recap of Days of Our Lives. Be safe, be merry, all that good stuff, and I will catch you in the next review. I honestly tell you if I can't decide if it's a review or a recap. Also, by the way, I know I keep saying that. If anyone has any info on Brock TV, please let me know. I haven't heard from this guy in like 5 or 6 days, and I know again he also does these reviews as well, and I do like his take on certain aspects of, you know, like General Hospital and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see his notes and what he thinks of Days of Our Lives. Anyway, that's gonna do it. So if you know something that's going on with whatever, please let me know. And again, let me know about the whole you know, does the NBC app allow you to watch days after a certain time period within that same day, or is it one of those you gotta watch it the next day? So be safe.